شكرا لك أستاذ عمر. طبعا شفنا مع بعض تقرير كان مفصل عن اقتصاد الابتكار في المملكة العربية السعودية. حنشوف مقدمة فيديو قبل ما ننتقل لجلسة حوار عن اتجاهات في التكنولوجيا المالية. حيكون معنا فيديو لمدة 3 دقائق نشوفه مع بعض، من بعدها نستكمل أولى جلساتنا بإذن الله. حضور الكرام، أولى جلسات الحوار حتكون بعنوان اتجاهات في التكنولوجيا المالية مع المحاورة رنا السنيورة، فلتتفضل مشكورة. نبذة مختصرة عن الأستاذة رنا السنيورة، شريكة في مجال التكنولوجيا المالية في الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا، لديها أكثر من 20 سنة في الخبرة الاحترافية في الشرق الأوسط في التعاملات والاستشارة والاستثمار والتنمية الاقتصادية.
Is it going to be in English or بالعربي? English, okay. I'm very pleased to be here today to moderate the session for two main reasons. I mean, you all know that fintech is the talk of the globe. And the second reason is we have a really very distinguished panel today with us. So the introduction that was done by Omar and the video actually will accelerate the process. So I'm not going to spend time talking about fintech. We're going to ask our panelists to join us. So Mrs. Ambereen Musa, she's the CEO and founder of Souq Al-Mal. Mr. Omar Hashim, EVP, Head of Digital Banking at National Commercial Bank Al-Ahli. Mr. Mohammed Rashidi, founder and chairman of One Global. Muhannad Bini, he's the founder and the chief CEO of Hyperpay. You've all seen the video, and this suggests that the ecosystem in MENA for fintech, if we look at the, let's say, 4 pillars of the system, being the demand, the talent, the capital, and policy, is really developing. And we're seeing definitely some nurturing and the different developments and the action and initiatives taking place. What we would like to hear from our panelists today about the avenues of collaboration that are taking place between the banks and fintech, and how they're seeing the ecosystem developing, and what are the challenges they're facing and in this space. So if I may start with Amberine, if you want to discuss more your journey in brief and the challenges that you faced in MENA.
Sure. So Suqama, I'm not sure how many people know it, but Suqama.com is around 5 years old. We are a financial services marketplace. We allow customers to compare credit cards, mortgages, personal loans, and recently in the last 18 months, we've actually gone into the marketplace for insurance. So we compare around 18 different companies, and you can actually purchase your insurance, car insurance online, health, and we're going into home and travel. When we started 5 years ago, we kind of wanted to start it with insurance at the time, but the industry wasn't ready. It was very much an idea of why you're here for. You're going to disrupt the different brokers in the industry. We've had a lot of challengers, even convincing insurance companies to work with us. It was 5 years ago. It wasn't that long, but things have moved very, very fast since. I think, for us, we're in the fintech industry from an acquisition and B2C perspective. You've got a lot of, the ecosystem is very broad, if you want. I think a lot of the discussions around, are we disruptors, are we not? Yes, we're disrupting the B2C market and the acquisition model of different insurance companies, but we're not here to replace anybody. And I think that's been the big discussion around, are we disruptors now, or are we complementary to the different traditional legacy systems providers out there? And I think the more and more that it grows, it's a bit of a marathon. The more you realize it's not really disrupting anymore. It's about building it, and it's about complementary with the providers and moving forward.
I mean, thank you very much. I think this is a very good point to move to Omar, actually. And if you can discuss more your view on collaborating with fintechs and the MENA region in particular.
Maybe I'll try to just bring a background. For financial industry, I mean, our biggest pain has been always 2 parts. One is to introduce operational efficiencies and to increase our distribution footprint. So we can grow our customer base, grow our assets. Naturally, being able to bank anywhere, anytime, provide the services has been the prime focus. And at that time, I think the banks were focused into enabling their bank to serve their clients digitally. As we all maturing into this journey, the competition is now to venture into enhancing customer experiences, to managing new types of risks we have never understood, to venture into new solutions that are evolving with the new economy. And the ability to innovate within traditional organizations is limited. We know how to run our businesses, we know how to scale it up. I think within Saudi context and within the region, there is some kind of, I would say, convergence between the innovation that's coming from fintechs and between the desire of banks to start looking at possible partnerships rather than disruption as it used to be sold to us 2 to 3 years back. As a matter of fact, if I would just look at my own time invested into the topics of working and with fintechs and regulators around fintech topics recently, it's all about developing ideas, working within partnerships that could serve our agenda. The great news is that one of the key challenges we both faced as financial industry banks and as fintechs has been the regulation. This is one of the most guarded industries, and globally this is it. With the challenges that we face all into achieving 2030, the regulation now is really opening up to listen of how can we work together, what are the things that we could do together? How can they enable us to accelerate our achievement of the transformation that we're designing within Vision 2030? So looking forward, there will be a lot of opportunities between banks and venture and fintechs to work together. Our role will be always to find the right partners in some form and fashion that we will work together. Our role, we will bring the industry expertise, we'll bring the regulation angle of being present into this market. I think their role will always be to innovate. They will have the ability to accelerate that thought process and delivery process to our clients. So we feel very excited about this shift that has happened recently. And we're very excited to see the energy levels of a lot of entrepreneurs now trying to get into this space. But I think they have to be cautious that we need to work with them and advise of the right opportunities and the right approach.
Thank you very much. I think Omar mentioned the regulatory framework, and I know One Global operates across, across border, and you're present in several countries. So did you face any regulatory constraints? And maybe you can give the audience some background on your business and the operating model or business model.
Okay, sure. This is Mohammed Rashidi. I'm a computer engineer and entrepreneur. Started our journey back in 2004 in value-added services, and we started FinTech in October 2007. So we are the first to launch FinTech solutions and financial services in Middle East, the same time where M-Pesa been introduced in Kenya. So M-Pesa been introduced by mobile operator, but Saraf Mobile been introduced by us as independent, non-operator, non-bank. So regulation and regulatory problems always been facing since we started. So when we started back in 2007, there was no smartphones. We were using Nokia phones with a Java application on it, and without banks, we are using people. People acting as cash in and cash out agents, and the money in the network. We do remittance across states in Sudan, Kassala, Sudan, and Khartoum. And we enabled purchasing. So when I transfer money to you, you don't get the money actually. What do you want to do with this money? I want to purchase something. I want to pay school tuition. I want to pay some fees. We go with them and open an account and acquire the merchant that they are dealing with. So with that system, it lasts only for 3 months. Then Central Bank of Sudan shut us down. And because of the problem that it happened, we launched a campaign that drop your job and make your fortune, where you can bring your indemnities, your end of service fees with us as a short balance, and we launch you as a RAF agent, and you go and do money. And whatever income you are getting, you employ it back by increasing your assured balance. So it was like a snowball growing inside the network. Banks went to the central bank and said, what the hell operators are doing? Called the regulator in telecommunication and said them to shut this down. And then regulator said, we thought that banks launched this. So end of the day, they found neither bank nor operators are doing that. So they attack our office and actually shut it down. We went and via many channels, political, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Embassy of Kuwait in Sudan, in order to meet the governor and ask why. We have put a decent investment in this. And they said we have 2 questions we need to ask. What you guys are doing, actually, honestly. And we said, virtual bank. And said, okay, the second question, where is the money? So the money is in the network. Explain. So we said, the money actually doesn't go out the network. Whatever you want this money to spend in, we acquire it inside the network. And said, hey, thank you. This is smart, but it cannot be because you will become the governor of Sudan end of this year. Do you know the role of the governor? I said, yeah, setting policies for bank. He said, no, the major role. I said, please tell me. And he said, monitoring liquidity. You will be having a liquidity with you. Could you please tell me what is the liquidity today you are having? I said, $250,000. Said, and how many agents? Said, 100. And what is the forecast? I said, 4,000. Said, I told you, you will become the governor end of this year. So that was a bad experience where we launched a loan, and this is very important for entrepreneurs, always to try to don't comply completely with the regulators because they will kill you. Try always to challenge them, try always to innovate and get them in your side slowly, slowly. They will not open up quickly. You need to drag them slowly, slowly. Today, we went back, we stopped everything. We relaunched the platform again on BlackBerry that time. The good lesson we had from this also, we were having a partner, without mentioning the country, it's from Europe, that were doing for us the platform. We were the designer, we were the creator, everything, but the actual coding being done by them. They disappeared when they heard that central bank attacked our office and said, oh, Rashidi went in a jail now and let him alone. So they disappeared, no communication. So I was depressed and I said, why to stop? Let us relaunch again. So we created a team. I'm a computer engineer and I'm the architect of the software. So I created a team to develop. It took 1 year to develop the complete application with an advances and more modules to be incorporated that were a limitation with the others and interoperable to other platforms where BlackBerry introduced that time. And there is an interesting story about BlackBerry when we went to the biggest operator in Kuwait and said to them, we want you to invest with us in this platform. And they were laughing and said, invest on what? Said, we want to do a payment inside. Remittance, I cannot do remittance like Sudan. Let us do payment. Said, payment on what? I said, BlackBerry. He said, no, go and play away. Said, okay, we need from you the top-up and bill payment. Can you give us an access? So I will treat you like any distributor. Pay a bank guarantee and get the contract. That's it. So we went to the central, not central bank, to the national switch in Kuwait that connects all banks. And we said to them, listen, guys, we need the e-commerce portal checkout page to have a micro page of it. Just remove everything and just give us this remote. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, we just need it. We are playing, actually. We want to pay the bills with the card using BlackBerry. And they were laughing and said, oh, those guys are playing. So we did that, actually. We integrated the operator for bill payment and top-up with the checkout page via BlackBerry. And that time, we tested, and it was working. And which channel we use? Twitter were launched, was very viral. So we said we will not use the traditional channel. We'll use Twitter. So we went to some friends that have some followers, and they introduced the service, and everybody then pop in. We got 5,000 users. And the journey started. I don't want to eat up the whole time because it's a long story. They shut us down as well. And they said, this is a banking service. You should go to banks. So we went to KFH, the biggest bank in Kuwait. And we said, hey, guys, we want to launch. And the guy was laughing and said, you want to launch alone, huh? And I said, OK, what do you want? And they charged me heavily, very, very high fee, actually. It was a loss. I was getting 2% from operator, and they are charging me 3%. So I accepted, just to control the damage. And I said, when I grow up, I can negotiate. And that's what happened. We accepted. They were surprised. We signed the agreement. We launched the service after 1 month. Bank needs time to integrate. They didn't integrate, actually. We are integrated already to the switch. What they did is just a legal document that's been done. When we launched, we reached 20,000 users. We dumped them to 1%. And we said the banks are knocking us. And now we went to very, 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 very minimal fee. So regulation always will be in your, against you, but try to find a solution. Don't stop. Keep it up. And this is basically what I can share with you.
Well, that's very exciting, actually, journey. I don't know if Muhannad probably took the shortcut and went directly to the banks, right? So can you tell us more about your experience?
Assalamu alaikum. Actually, yes, I take it short because I'm in this business since 2000. Back to Maktoub.com, we start Cashew, and after that, we start One Card with NTG in Saudi Arabia. So I had a long story with the regulation, and both of them are now, they shut them down actually in Saudi Arabia and other countries. So when I started HyperPay, I decided to take the shortcut and just go to the banks direct and just acting as a technology provider or technology partner for the banks. Today, of course, HyperPay, it's a payment service provider. Today, we are serving 9 banks in Saudi Arabia and other banks across the region. Definitely, by this, we don't have any regulation issues. And actually, we are dealing direct with SAMA and other regulatory in Saudi Arabia. So everything is fine. I think the relation between a fintech or PSP and a bank is extremely important, because as a PSP, we are in the middle between the bank, the merchant, the user, and the card schemes or the payment schemes like Visa, MasterCard, Amex, or Sadad, or anything else. So we are connecting all the parties together, and we are processing the transaction. Today, the bank definitely can do this. And actually, the old model in the whole world, actually, not only Middle East, was the bank is the acquirer, so the merchant go to the bank direct and connect on payment gateways. But what happens today with the technology, and I can say just for HyperPay, we have over, in the past 2 years, we have over 500 or 5 to 5, actually, I think it's 500 merchants active in Saudi Arabia, and we have like 1,000 in the pipeline. So for a bank to serve all those people, all those merchants with different technology platforms, so they need an army actually, just for integration, for customer care, for fraud management. So that's why they shift these tasks to a fintech company like HyperPay or anyone in the market. And this is, of course, a practice that it's happening everywhere, not only in Middle East. So everything went really faster. It's much better for the merchants. It's much better for the bank, and for the ecosystem completely, because now it's moving very fast. So that's why I think the fintech companies and the banks or the financial institution in general, they work together definitely to define everything and just to move the ecosystem in Saudi Arabia and other countries.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, thank you very much. But we're also seeing that fintech are developing a solution, going to banks, and then finding out that this is not what they want, or they're missing on the core problem statement. So I want to hear, please, from Omar on your suggestion when you want to collaborate with fintech. Do you expect that you will be involved as a bank from the initial thought process, the development stage, and then so that you co-develop the solution?
Yeah, but I would love to have a follow-on, because I think this will help in the answer. I think, thank you for this lovely story and from both sides. This shows the amount of energy that have been spent, the resources that were spent with great passion to come up around many shutdown challenges that you faced, and you still tried in your own way to come up with counter opportunities to still survive with what you're thinking as the solution. I think a lot of entrepreneurs should not go through this process and can actually scale up much quicker by having this alignment that you're asking me about. I think the problem definition, the constraints within the system are things we're aware of. It's not something we have never thought of. I think the skill sets, the capability, the thinking out of the box, the ability to innovate will always lies with the innovation, with the fintech. Now, that relationship has to come up from both ways. We're actually reaching out now to fintechs. We're trying to help coach, and sometimes even if we find it in the right serve to the bank, we'll even invest to ensure that we are augmenting our capabilities to expand our reach and serve our clients. But as well, we encourage that fintechs now have to understand, as you've said in HyperPay, that we know that we need to augment them. There is a play for us where we can expand our business by partnering. We need to jointly understand the problem, and we agree on the right roles of how we will approach this. And this will be for us a business growth. This will be for the bank an ability to outsource or expand or depend on a partner to grow. And I think this is evolving and developing. Usually the sad stories which I get when you see great thought process, when you see great solution, but the problem definition is wrong. This is where you feel that the resources have been wasted, while the innovation process is solid, while the talent exists, but you feel that a lot have gone into waste by not aligning the understanding of the proper problem definition.
Sorry, just to add something here. Actually, most of our new development today on the product, it came from the banks. You know, today the banks, they are telling us, Mohamed, we need this, let's say, platform to be added on the payment gateway, or we need this feature to be added for the merchants. So today, it's a real cooperation between both of us. And actually, they are adding a lot of value for us because they know exactly where, as a bank, they know what the merchant is looking for as a banking services. And they are telling us how to do it. And that, of course, we use their platforms for testing and other things. So it's a real cooperation.
Sorry, please.
I think for me, 2 points. I think just slightly going back on the regulations, there's a fine line between go out and do it as an entrepreneur, you're passionate enough to go out and do it and ask for forgiveness after, or wait for them to say yes. I think the issue we found in one country when we launched, we didn't ask for permission. We went out and launched it, and we've grown 800% over the last 12 months. In another country, we decided to ask for permission, and 18 months later, we're still waiting. So it's a fine line between, you know, what are the consequences? Unfortunately, and my two colleagues here, you completely went wrong. We were okay. we didn't get shut down. We have been, however, we got some threats from people who think we're disrupting them, who even went to the regulator to send us, you know, circulars around, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, but eventually we found out they were just circulars, just threats in a certain way. So you will face all of that from a regulatory perspective. But I think the other point I want to make is companies like ourselves, we're not banks, we're not insurance companies where we have 10 headcounts in compliance and legal. Even that would eat up all the funding we raise if we start doing it that way. So partly, yes, it's easier to go in a country and ask for forgiveness later, or figure out how to work with the regulators to make it happen. The second point is all about cooperation. I think it's actually going faster than we believe it is, and I'm glad to hear Omar saying they're investing into businesses. Globally, out of all the VC funding into fintech, 21% of this are from corporates. So I think there is not even a question of disruption, it's corporates actually going really fast and investing into this fintech to be part of their own businesses. And that last year was only 17%, up to 21%. So that is growing really, really fast. And I think eventually there won't be kind of a fintech anymore. Eventually you will have all the traditional companies with a fintech arm. I think, Omar, you probably can talk quite a lot about that, but a lot of them are going into it. Our last Series B funding, we had UAE Exchange coming in, and who took around 20% of the ticket. Somebody looked at me going, UAE Exchange, why are they investing in you? And the reason they invested in us is because we're actually building the technology to do online remittances for them. And on the other side, they are bringing us kind of offline, where you'll have Souq al-Mal kiosks in all their branches, right? So it's very much around how do I get Souq al-Mal to customers who don't have a credit card, who cannot pay me by credit card, but through cash. They can go and pay cash at UAE Exchange. So I think there's quite a nice collaboration, and eventually that kind of converges into the digital transformation.
Yes. That's very interesting, actually, the different views. I would like to open a bit to the floor. If you have questions, whether in Arabic or English, I'm happy to translate. So any questions from the floor? Yes, please.
Like, how does that compliance or non-compliance affect your ability? I mean, it's one thing as an entrepreneur to have the energy and you get shut down and you open again, but it's another when you go to a corporate investing, they have their own compliance, and how do you get around, like, promising them that everything will be okay?
I think you can never really promise everything is going to be okay. There's always a 50-50 chance. If I could, I'd be raising much more than 10 million, I can tell you. It's interesting. I think this is why we have people like Riyadh Capital as one of investors, Ivo, who's sitting in the audience, who's going to be helping us actually getting assets into Saudi from a regulatory perspective. But going back to their compliance, it's a very interesting question, because by wanting to sell insurance into the UAE exchange branches, the investment got through, but now the compliance came on board and said, oh, hang on a minute, are we even allowed to do this? But again, let's go and do it and then ask for forgiveness. This is my kind of philosophy in a certain way. And now, instead of bringing that issue before investment, now we're actually looking for areas and ways to solve the problem. So it's much more of a problem-solving approach than, ooh, what if? Because there's always a way to get around things. So.
Okay, can I answer this as well? Okay, in our case, because we were trying to manage our investment, our own investment, because until today we are bootstrap. So we are employing back our revenue and growing. Regulators are always trying to do one role, major role, protecting end user. They don't care about banks or processors or whatever in the value chain. They care about the end user. If their money is lost, they will go and knock a door, because of the constitution is protecting their money. This is their major issue. And that's why I didn't continue the story. Today, One Global in 16 countries, we are working with 7 regulators in the region in a very amazing relation. So we are working with the Central Bank of Bahrain, and we are a prepaid issuer for them. We are a BSP, and we are a crowdfunding provider. We are a charity provider. So we got many licenses because they got to know what we are doing, and we got to know what they're paying. So we resolved their pain in a very innovative way. We didn't do it the classical way. Okay, you want to protect end user, we'll give you whatever protection controls you want. So we created a complete RegTech module for them to be compliant with anti-money laundering, with anti-terrorist, any OFAC, bank embargoed countries, all of that being incorporated into the system. Also, banks were trying to not work with us because they feel that we are not secure. Actually, we are secure more than them, because we are PCI DSS compliant, because we are using third-party cards in our system. Banks, they use their own customers' card. They don't need to be PCI DSS compliant. We were doing a 3-level of encryption on our apps, and we've been penetrating many apps inside the region, and we give it as a courtesy to the banks and said, hey guys, I can transfer money from your bank application, online banking application, because it's very, very primitive, being done. It's connected to the core online banking. So banks, when they try to challenge us, today we are working with 30 banks inside the region, and we launched our own bank. We launched our own digital bank completely in Kuwait with co-badging with Warba Bank, and everyone can open his bank account completely from the app. Complete digital KYC, a virtual account that can be accepted in-app payment or online payment or even in-store payment with Caribou chain using a QR. So regulators, when they got to know what is the pain, at the beginning, they start to stop you because you are small, you are young, you don't know what you are doing. But when they found you that you are knowing exactly what you are doing and you are resolving everything from risk perspectives, they will comply to you. Regarding the investors, if you are an entrepreneur, true entrepreneur, and you don't look for an entrepreneur to invest in you, your life will be miserable after the investment. That's why, until today, we didn't decide to raise fund from many called and knocked the doors and said, we need to put money. We said, we don't need your money. Actually, we need your value. What is your value? If you don't understand what we are doing, you will be knocking the door end of the year and making a board meeting and said, why we are not making money? This is what we are trying to avoid. What we need, we are having a mission and a vision, and this vision we need to fulfill. This vision is a long term. The money that we will make is little, barely will cover our investments. We don't want revenue now. And if there is an investor looking the same way and thinking the same way, they are welcome. Other than that, we don't need.
Yeah. Ambereen, Mohammed discussed the customer like as a focus area. From your experience, how was the traction? When you launched, was it like a slow process to attract customers, consumers, and then now you're really in a different situation. Can you please share with us your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think the consumer base have way past what we can provide to them. They are asking for digital solutions. They don't want to move anymore. They don't want to go to branches. They don't want to talk to anybody. And I think when we launched the insurance business 18 months ago, we've grown 800% since. It's exploded. And it just shows you how people are asking for more and more. One of the areas we've been requested to be put in place as well, and as much as you would talk to the banks to understand what do you bring on the market, we actually talk to consumers, because this is what we're helping. However, what we also found is there's problematic from a claims on your insurance perspective. So that's what we're looking at. How do you digitize the whole process? It's extremely complicated. Every single insurance company has their own claims management. But this is one of the areas our consumers are asking is, I have an accident on my car. It takes 3-4 weeks to even get it approved and get through. And that's because everything today is being done extremely manually. You got to bring your car to the agent 3 or 4 times just to get inspected. So I think I'm not going to bring the big word blockchain, which used to be the elephant in the room, but by using blockchain, by using different technologies, we can actually have the operational aspect extremely lean, but then that would also help the consumer angle as well from coming through. But from my perspective, I think consumers are craving for it. And I think the other point to make is the fintech companies are starting or have, but are growing the whole financial inclusion extremely fast. Customers who don't even have a bank account can remit money today. They can pay for their bills all through their mobile phones, which originally, try and get a bank to do that for you would have been impossible. So there's the whole aspect of financial inclusion that's absolutely phenomenal, the way it's taken off in the last couple of years and keeps going.
Do you want to add anything, Omar, on that?
No, I think Ambereen nailed it. I think that there are many problems we want to solve. I think maybe as afterthoughts, we are looking at opportunities where we want to disrupt these processes. There are technologies that across the board are happening that either will impact business processes, impact inefficiencies in the system, that will serve these consumer needs. Consumers have been rewarding us as long as we launch the right solution to them. As long as it is removing all the friction points, they are loyal to you, they will use it, and it will scale up. This is not the issue anymore. The issue is getting down to solving the right problems in the right way with the right partner, and sometimes even disrupting ourselves. We are making some choices now that we need to disrupt how we are doing this, and we want to do it differently.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's also a change in even the customer segment financial services are going after. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this from a banking industry, but are you seeing the banks and the financial institutions through technology being able to attract or go towards customer segments they would never even think about 5 years ago?
So some numbers to, first of all, Saudi has a good inclusion ratios when it comes to bankable, percentage of bankable customers. But today we still have a very young generation who have new demands that today we consider they're underserved. I think our biggest challenge in Saudi, and I'm not going to talk about the insurance side, I'm going to talk about the banking side, is for the maturity of our financial industry, the cash payments is one big interesting challenge we all face. And I think now all of our solutions, and I think as an industry with fintechs, we're trying to address this challenge and bring this efficiency. And this could be addressing new segments, and maybe this is getting down to the younger generations, disrupting the way payments are happening, because you need to compete against the speed of paying in cash. And we believe we're starting to see this revolution. And I feel some banks will be very interestingly disrupting themselves of how to offer services and address or acquire new segments to start addressing this problem. But generally speaking, it's the time now to do these self-disruptions.
Do we have any questions, again, in Arabic, English, from the floor? Okay. So, yes, please. Just a minute, please, just the micro.
Thank you. I'm from the information technology field. I have had some experience with working with the back-end processors, including MasterCard and Visa. My question is, what I see here is a panel of, if I may be so bold, I feel there's a panel of adversaries here. Do we have any plan to move towards homogenization, where the banks are not putting the blame on the entrepreneurs or fintech? Because the end user consumer, I have 7 different cards in my pocket. And if I want to use a different service, I have to go for a different platform, or perhaps choose a startup which I may not know might close 5 months down the line. So what I'm asking for is perhaps a platform where all your services, there's something missing in the bank, that's why the entrepreneurs think of an idea and try to implement that. And fintech, I think, is trying to homogenize that. But is there a plan to bring everything together and perhaps use a single currency or a single means of payment in the future, perhaps?
Who wants to volunteer to answer the question?
All of us.
I volunteer to one part.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I think you seeing us as adversaries, I think this is something 2 years back, that was the general trend. We go to conferences and fintechs will eat your lunch and fintechs are going to replace you. No banks in the future. And I think today we're all sitting here. You didn't see, hand fist fight. We're actually trying to see ways how we can collaborate. And we as banks, we're reaching out and we're finding the right fintech partners that are going to extend our business models or help us to serve an underserved segment or a problem that is not solved. So this is the general answer about being adversaries. I think this is what was sold by consultants. This is what there used to be the scary slide that we all saw, Airbnb, Uber, this, and you won't find the bank in the future. I think this is going away, and what is rationalizing, we're all trying to find ways of working together. This is a thing that I would share humbly and say this is reality. Second, I think what you're asking for is seeing less friction points. I don't want to get down to card and wallet and that. I think all of us as consumers got used from experiences out of banking industry of instant gratification. When we rent a movie on an Apple TV, it immediately is displaying for us. It is very frictionless. We don't feel the pain to acquire that service or that. And today we're trying to bring that experience through the demand of our consumers in the banking industry. And banks by themselves will not be able to do it. Fintechs by themselves will not be able to do it. And that's where all of us are trying to work together on common problems and find the right partners to be able to solve one problem at a time. And I just alluded to the previous question. For us in Saudi, the biggest problem now is fighting cash. This is something which we believe will be of great benefit to the economy, of great benefit to the consumers. And digitizing that mode of payments is going to bring a lot of value to everybody. I hope I gave you a holistic answer to maybe your concerns and needs.
I mean, definitely also the e-commerce players will definitely help in that direction as well. So Mohammed, please.
Okay, regarding getting a single place where you are having all your cars or your payment methods or alternative payment methods in country. Actually, this is live already in Uganda. We have launched our platform in Uganda that connects the 4 mobile operators over there. Because mobile operators in Uganda, they are the alternative payment. They are the banks, actually. Card penetration and bank penetration is very low. So we have connected MTN Money, Freecell Money. We have connected Airtel Money, all their wallets into our switch. And we connected Visa, MasterCard, Amex into the switch. And we connected EnterSwitch, which is the local switch. And we offered end user a single checkout page where they can pay at the merchant or online from a single place. So all the cards that you are having inside your pocket, it's completely digitized. And now we are going after the last card, which is your identity, to be digitized as well, and everything will be in your pocket.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Just if you allow me, not going to Uganda, let's talk about Saudi Arabia. Today, there is a couple of products with SAMA that will solve this issue. I think you already heard about opening the ATM cards or the debit cards for e-commerce. And the second project will be the mobile wallet for the Saudi cards. So you will have all your cards in Saudi Arabia in one wallet where you can use it to pay for offline and online services. I would say this will come, I'm not talking about on behalf of SAMA, but I think it should be something around 2018. Of course, the cards, the ATM cards for e-commerce, they already announced that it should be in quarter 1 or 2 to be open. So as Hyperpay, since we are working in different countries, and we originally came from Jordan, I would say that really I'm really surprised from Saudi Arabia. It's extremely fast in adopting new technologies and finding solutions for e-commerce or digital payments. It's really, if I want to compare it with other countries in the region, it's definitely number 1. I think in Saudi Arabia, we all know we might need to go to the bank once a year just for me as Muqim. I need to update my information. That's it. Other than this, everything is digital. So I think we are in excellent shape if we are talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, if I may call you the MENA Fintech Shapers. What we learned today is the ecosystem is definitely developing in the MENA region with the help of our distinguished panelists as well and many other players. And what we're seeing, much more collaboration than previously. And we're also seeing that persistence from entrepreneurs and from fintechs to actually focus on the problem statement, focus on the consumers, and to bring to the table new solutions that will address problems. So thank you very much all. Thank you for the audience.
أهلا وسهلا. شكرا. الحضور الكرام، الآن كلمة رئيسية حول البلوك تشين وتحول القطاعات مع الفنتري سيتي يقدمها لكم ألبش دوشي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي والذي كان مفكر عالمي يشتهر بمساعدة المنظمات على التحول ووقاية مستقبلها عبر استخدام التكنولوجيا الناشئة، خاصة فيما يخص الرقمية والبيانات الكبرى والتحليلات.